Good evening, everyone. Now I know why you always see someone looking at his computer when a live stream starts, because when you stream from your mobile, there is quite a time delay there. So, welcome to my first live stream on this channel. And I'm really glad to see quite a lot of people already for the fact that it's the first one. For this occasion, I asked you to send in questions, and many of you did. So let's, for the beginning, see who's there tonight. Just give me a second. Oh, it's even alphabetical order. Hello, Alan Saxon. Hello, Capricorn 9070i. Chap I, good evening. CompuArt. Hey, Dano. Haven't seen you in a time. What is that? Dermot Walshy? Franz Boomis. FSM is the dog. Glasgow Kiss. Hi, Glasgow. Hey, Junie. Hi, Katrina Bryce. Killer. Nice to see you. P. Spence, son of Viking. Valerio Tarantino. Quentin? No. So, welcome, and it's quite nice that you're already there. And thank you very much to Conservator, who's going to do a little bit of moderating tonight. He was so nice to offer that for my first one, so thank you a lot. And let's just see. Before we get started, I just need to test something, if it's working. Well, I'll see in a second. So, you sent in some questions for me, and I just want to get started with them already. And the first one is from Straight Hugo. He says, "Hi Mark, as a British citizen, can I open a company in Germany? It's official now, we have been advised by our HMRC to open a company in EU to avoid red tapes." I have read that question in normal comments as well, and it is quite important now because I made videos on that one. And it's not really easy to open a brand new company as a citizen of a third country is, for example, here in Germany, quite complicated. So I just picked out a few points only that matter for this, because it's a very long list. But there's some interesting stuff. For example, when you want to open a company in Germany as a third country citizen, you have to show that you can create 5 new jobs at least in Germany, and that you at least can invest 500,000 euros. Of course, you also need a visa and a work permit to come over here, even if you found your own company. And that's the hardest point for many, I guess, you have to prove that you can speak German. Also, you need, of course, the qualifications for the job you want to have or you want to do with your company, and you need the qualifications to do that. So, and that's only a few of the points. For all of this, you have to go to the German embassy or the German consulate and clear all this. So in many cases, if you already have a company in the UK, it's definitely easier to open a subsidy or a branch in Germany, because still the manager of the company has to bring all these qualifications. He has to speak German. He needs a work permit if you don't hire him in Germany. But founding the company is easier, about the creating how many jobs, about the investment, and so on and so on. So if companies are thinking about smaller ones, like the ones Mrs. Cameron mentioned, that's a video that's still coming up on my channel, when she was talking about it, you should think about, is it possible to create a subsidy or a branch in Germany, to found a brand new company again there for a citizen from the UK as a citizen from a third country is really difficult. So the big major players can do that, but for the smaller companies, it will be extremely hard to do so. And well, I'm curious because it's my very first live chat. So in the meantime, I always want to have a quick look there. Oh, Eric Bischoff, have I mentioned you before? Hi there. It's fun to sit on this side. Usually I do visit Maximilian Robespierre's live chats regularly as a guest, not only as a guest when I was joining him on the live stream like the one time, which was really fun, but I often go there to watch his live stream, and it is fun, and so it's also fun to do it from this side for once. Straight Hugo, I hope I could give you a good answer on that one. And then I just want to go to the next one. It's from Jay Anderson. I think I saw you. And your question is, why is no one talking about the racist part of Brexit anymore? All the people, I did that because I'm not reading that out, that wanted Brexit, because of that they wanted the blacks and other foreigners out of Great Britain. I know that money and trade is sexy, but the hate and racism is still one of the main parts of Brexit. Well, it is one of the reasons of Brexit, and one of the major topics of the Leave campaign, especially when you think about what Farage did in the end. But now, after it happened, this is not the most important part anymore. Even if of course, I do get xenophobic comments every day in the comments under my videos. I get insulted xenophobically daily. Yeah, I don't want to know. And by the way, that goes both ways. But because of my channel, and as I said, I want to keep a certain level there, I do delete xenophobic comments from both sides. I won't have it, because there's a lot of xenophobic talk against English people as well, and that's not nice either. So the English are not the only ones commenting there in that way. There are many other Europeans and from other countries of this planet that do the same. So, but I'm not talking about this so much anymore, because it was not one of the main, it's not a big topic now. Of course, some people living in the UK from the EU still get that from time to time. But for example, my friends from Germany, for example, who still live there, don't get it. And so it's not that widespread. Oh, Glasgow, thanks for the super chat. I'm just going to jump there for a second. Thought I'd get something in and say congrats on your channel success. Great to see you finally live stream. Thank you, Glasgow. You are one of the mods on Max's channel who keeps me on track. So I always think about what I gonna write in the comments on Max live streams. No, really nice to see you. And thank you very much. Yeah, I was on the racism part. It still happens in the comments, but we all know how social media works. So people will write stuff like that. Probably many will mean what they write, but they don't show it in everyday life, because, as I said, my friends have no experience with that, and they are still living in the UK, and of course they will still live there in the future. They took care of their status and they will stay there. And so that's why I talk about the consequence of Brexit now that Brexit happened completely with the exit from the customs union and the internal market. And there are a lot of topics coming up this year. And as I said in some videos, we are still in parts of the deal in transition periods. And we didn't even get the full impact of Brexit yet. So there's still more to come. So Jay, I hope you got your answer. Have another quick look. Oh, Valerio Tarantino sent a super chat. Very good channel with Max and different bias. Thank you very much. I'm often named in this company by Brexiteers too, by the way, but they mean it differently than you did now. So thank you very much for that super chat, Valerio. Then I have a question from Sir Toby. In the event of Scottish independence, what role does the Scottish national debt play in their chances of rejoining the Union? If a country wants to join the European Union, they have to go through 35 different chapters of the application process and the accession process. And two of them, I guess it was two, are about finances. But the debt you have at the moment you apply is not as important as, except if you would have to go bankrupt and declare bankruptcy because you're that much in debt that you have to talk to the IWF and to the banks that gave you money and so on, because you can't do anything anymore. That's a different topic. But the normal way is the debt is not that important, because it is important, can you put up normal budgets in the coming years? That's what you will have to show. Can you keep up the rules of the EU for new debt? I know Germany didn't always play with the rule, and of course at the moment nobody does because of the pandemic. The new debt in Germany, we were at what we always call the black zero. That's what our government wanted to have for a long time and finally reached in the last years, is to make no new debts. But of course the pandemic changed everything. We are making between 500 and 600 billion debt a year, last year and this year, to help companies survive, to help artists survive, and so on and so on. And so that's an exception. But when you apply for the EU in normal times, the important part is your budget. Can you put up a budget? Can you keep keep up the debt rules for the European Union, this famous 3% rule? That will play a part. And are you able to do these things? Not all countries that applied for the EU at that moment were able to put up a real proper budget for themselves. They didn't have the expertise and whatever to really do this. That, of course, was because many of them were just coming out of communism. If we know something from German reunification, the socialists in the East didn't know how to do economy. And the same was in other countries in the former communist bloc. And so they really had to learn how to put up proper budgets and stuff like this in a way to be able to join the EU. And that rule still applies, and it will also apply for Scotland. But in the case of Scotland, I don't see that being a big problem, because the Scottish government is already working with budgets and stuff like this. Will not be a problem, I'm sure. The Ministerian, thank you for your super chat. Thank you for your excellent commentary. Viel Spaß. Yeah, thank you very much, Ministerian, and viel Spaß for you too. Really nice. So, this was once again one on Scottish independence. We will hear more about this year, I'm absolutely sure. And I'm also very curious how that whole thing will play out. And I can see on my screen another thing that has to do with streaming from a mobile. When I set this thing up, the screen showed me something completely different in the background than what you see now. You now see the building site behind me, because I'm still not finished with the studio. You saw that I put up the desk, that I changed something in the background, but we are in lockdown, and I'm still waiting for something to be delivered that will make the audio better here, because it's dampening and it will change the background. So now you see the building site in the back. I will have the camera closer to me on the next live stream when I make one. So then I have a question from Capricorn 9070i. I know you're online, I've seen you earlier. Being a fan of live music, how are the chances that UK will get an agreement with the EU so UK bands will have easy travel and work possibilities in the EU? Well, no matter what I heard in the House of Commons, some officials from the government say the UK rejected the offer from the EU. And so the UK will have to make a different decision in this case, as long as they stay with their decision, because they wanted that for the UK bands, but they didn't want to reciprocate that decision for bands from the EU. And as long as they stay with this decision, it will not happen. And if they change their mind, I'm quite sure the EU will happily grant that for UK bands if it's granted for EU bands. But right now, the ball is on the field of the UK. So that was a short one, but I hope one that helps you. And I got this very nice sticker from Fonts Online. Thank you very much. Keep it up, it says. Yeah, I hope so. I'm trying. So just a sip of coffee. I'm living off coffee, by the way, because some of you were wondering about the number of videos I'm publishing at the moment. And I'm working really a lot at the moment, but that's the reason for that is the lockdown. As you can see, especially when I see my hair on the screen, I've got a screen behind the camera as well. You can see that I haven't been to get a haircut for months because we're in lockdown. You can't even get a haircut at the moment. And I can't do a lot of my normal stuff at the moment. Politics is reduced to video conferences, so we put stuff together and don't have every session we usually have. And I do teach for security personnel for the trade board exams. And a lot of teaching is out of the line because of the lockdown. It's not happening. So I had more time for YouTube, and that's why you get so many videos at the moment. Don't get too used to it after the lockdown, and when everything is normal again, there will be not 5 videos a day on YouTube. I'm sorry. But at the moment I try to do as much as I can for you, because there's one thing I hate. I'm working a lot every day at the moment, but I hate being bored. And I really keep to the rules, so I don't visit anybody. I don't have people visiting me. I just go shopping for an 80-year-old woman and bring her shoppings, and that's all. So that's why my hometown is on a rate of 24 at the moment. So 24 infected of 100,000 people, because many of the people here in my town stick to the rules, and that's the nice part. But let's get on with the next question. It's from, yeah, that's always when you read it, and it's either Jean T or Jean T. Mark, do you see the EU now forming an army, and will there be EU referenda that its citizens will participate in? A few years ago, citizens were asked about the summer and winter time, not sure when it's being implemented. First of all, the citizens and the summer-winter time, that was not a referendum, that was just a poll. They made a poll and they got a result there, but it was not a referendum. And I go a little bit backwards on this question, because the next part I want to talk about is the referendum. I never, in my lifetime, I must say, see any EU-wide referendums. First of all, in Germany, it's not allowed to have, for example, a national referendum, except for the part like what we're talking about with Scotland. If one part of the country wants to leave, then we would have a national referendum. But in all other parts, it's not allowed. And it's not allowed for a very good reason. We learned from the past. I read something today that was quite interesting, because people can easily be influenced. A lot of bad can happen legally, and then you can't stop it anymore. And referendums are a big problem. I know some countries use them, but I personally am not a friend of them. And it has nothing to do with democracy. We have a so-called representative democracy. I vote for my MEP, I vote for my member of parliament of the Bundestag, I vote for my member of the state parliament. And they are there to represent me, and that's democracy. People are not able to vote on something themselves that is highly complex and that they even don't understand. And the best example for this, why no one is seriously asking for this at the moment on a big level or a big scale, is Brexit. Brexit was the best example to show everyone that populism plays a major role in referendums. We do have referendums on a local level, but those are topics that's easy to understand. We had referendums on a music hall on a very popular area here where we usually have our fair. The fair would have been smaller probably and stuff like that, so the people voted against the music hall. That's a thing that's not that complex, that you can talk to the people about, that they understand the whole topic. We're talking about the costs and stuff like this, but it's not that complex. But if you talk about very complex things on a national level, or in this case even worse, on an EU-wide level, most people will not know what they're voting for. And the other point is, you always have to vote yes or no. Otherwise, you can't really understand. You confuse the people even more if you ask other questions. And you can't answer all questions with yes or no. Of course, Brexit Day you could answer with yes or no, but the thing was so complex that I'm very sure the majority of voters on both sides did not understand what that really meant. And that's why I'm absolutely against nationwide referendums here, and EU-wide referendums especially. And I'm quite sure if in the next time somebody will come up with this, the German government would veto that. So it will not happen in the near future. And then the EU army. The EU army is a topic. It's not completely replacing the plans that are there now. Would never completely replace the national armies. But it would make absolute sense from my point of view, at least the plans that are discussed at the moment. Because if all countries use the same equipment in the EU, they can more easily work together. If the countries buy that stuff together, it's cheaper. The more you buy, the cheaper it gets. It's normal. And it has a lot of other advantages too. And there were some things the EU got itself involved in. It shouldn't have gotten itself involved in, because there was no EU army. The coordination between all the countries was far too complex to do that. With an EU army, which still would need the consent of the 27 member states and parliament before it's sent anywhere to help. And I'm talking about help. There will never be EU army to invade someone, what some Brexiteers say. They would be there for humanitarian reasons, for defense reasons. And there would be consent of all member states. If there's no consent, they will not go anywhere. But so that would be not a bad thing from my point of view. Of course, the details matter, and I will have to look at the details if this goes somewhere into the smallest detail. But it's not that mean. We want to invade everyone around us thing that some trolls make up in the comments all the time. So I hope I gave you a lot of answer for that one. I just want to have a quick look. Yeah, you're welcome. I just saw that you thanked me for the answer. Then I have a question from Graham Pettit. Hi Mark, just being nosy. You mentioned being deputy mayor for which town? Regards, Graham. Well, you missed one word there. It's only deputy district mayor. I'm just the deputy district mayor of the district North Münster, not of the whole town. Then I probably wouldn't have the time for 5 videos a day at the moment. That's a more time-consuming job. But a small explanation there, because many people don't know how that works. I'm a member of the district council, and they voted me deputy district mayor. And that's a voluntary job. So it's not a paid job or anything. It's just like being the president of, I'm a vice president of my carnival club. And it's in effect, it's the same. I'm doing this for free in my spare time, and I'm doing this voluntarily for my community. So it's not a paid job, because I just want to emphasize that, because some time after time I read that. No, I'm not getting paid for this. And it's only deputy district mayor, so not mayor of the city. Then I have a question from Chabai. Could the EU, if needed, put targeted sanctions on UK subjects? I have in mind people who bankroll Brexit, though most of them are foreigners. Well, first of all, let's talk about the UK subjects. In theory, the EU could, of course. But first of all, not because of Brexit. And the same goes for the others. You mentioned the foreigners that, for example, financed the Leave campaign. Brexit is not a reason to do so. The actions against human rights are a possibility why the EU would do that. And they are doing this at the moment. And they just decided, that's a video on my European channel about this, that they will widen that sanction scheme also against individuals. And of course they could do that. If there were UK citizens who are violating human rights on a big scale, they would be sanctioned by the EU. Their assets would be frozen, they would be banned from entering the EU and stuff like that. Then we have Simon Carr. Hi Mark, how do British citizens apply for jobs in the EU now? I'm only asking because I'm going to university to study product design and would like to work in the EU. Yeah, there's a number of questions there. Will you study in the EU at the same time when you want to work there, or do you just want to work there during your holiday, so to speak? If you study in the EU, and you are there with a student visa, you're only allowed to earn up to 5,000 euros a year, I guess it was the number, and a certain amount of hours per week and per month. So it's not very much you can do as a student with a student visa in Germany. I guess it's not different to other countries. If you want to work more, especially in your holidays, for example, you will have to apply for a work permit. The fact that you're a student, that you only want to work, for example, in the holiday time, could help you get this. But if you're supposed to be there to study, of course, they will have a very close look on that one. $164 watching right now. That's a nice one for my first stream. 165, okay, it's still growing. Welcome to everyone who came later. That's really nice. Oh, I just saw Yamin Chembri. Haven't seen you for more than a week because I haven't been able to watch Max's live stream. Good evening. So then I have a question from Ray Como, I guess. Hello Mark, Brexit got sold to the believers that decoupling would favor the UK in trade with non-EU countries. My question is, if country X is approaching both the UK as well as an EU country, say Italy, for trade and investment, what advantage, if any, does the UK have over Italy? The problem with that question is, a country might approach Italy for trade and any kind of agreement, but it's not possible because no separate EU country does trade deals with other countries. They gave that to the EU to negotiate for all of them together. So that was one thing that Brexiteers always brought up during the transition period. If they don't give us a deal, we will just negotiate with Germany, France, or Italy and make individual deals. That is not possible. No country in the EU can do bilateral trade deals anymore. Yemen, thank you for your super chat. No problem, Mark. Lol, yeah. Thank you very much for that one. So I was at the bilateral trade agreements. No, Italy can't do bilateral trade agreements with another country. So that's, of course, the advantage of the UK. But if that's an advantage as a single country to do that, the weight of the UK is not as strong in the negotiations with a market of 60 million like the EU has with a market of 450 million. So if you want to call that an advantage, I wouldn't necessarily agree. Yeah, Killer, I just saw your comment. Nightbot is working. You should be proud of me. The timers will be next time. That's another part I'm working on. Sorry. Then I have Fred Smith, King of the Lunatics. Who made you king? Okay. Good day from Australia, Mark. Hope you're well. My question is more on a personal level. Okay. As a German, how frustrating is it to be painted as the bad guys by Brexiteers? From the outside of the situation, it seems that while the EU may have issues, in general it's reasonably well run and Merkel seems like a very competent leader, while the procession of British leaders seems a shambles. And thank you for all the work. Thank you very much. To be honest, when you're out on a platform like this as a German, you're regularly painted as the bad guy. You still have to listen to all that Nazi crap people are still throwing around. So you really get used to it. And we ever say it goes into that ear and goes out of that one, and then it's gone. I don't care. If there are trolls and idiots, they just get blocked. And that's it. And as a member of her party, I just want to say about Merkel, we will miss her at the end of the year. In September, we have elections, and if a coalition comes together early enough, she will be gone at the end of the year, and we will have a new chancellor. And many people who were complaining about her in the years when she was in office probably will miss her. There are good candidates to follow her, but she was steering Germany through very difficult times, and I have a lot of criticism for actions of her. Of course, nobody is always right, but she managed some things I would have really doubted with other candidates on the wheel at that time. We would be in big trouble. So that's all I can say about this, Fred. So I don't care if people insult me, they just get blocked. Spot 31 has another question. Rejoiners on YouTube seem to agree that the election system in the UK has to change. But whoever wins the next election will never ever change the system that brought them in power. A dilemma. Your views on this matter, please. Well, I talked about this with Max when I was guest on his live stream on his channel. That's the big problem. First past the post is not the most democratic system. Scotland has a hybrid system like we have in Germany, and not so many votes fall out of the system if you use a hybrid system. So anybody who's thinking clearly about this should agree that first past the post should go. But we've seen that. Labour is talking about changing the system as long as they're not in power. As soon as they come to power because of first past the post, then suddenly they don't want to change it anymore. What that really needs is a government that wants to do it. But as long the Tory government, I don't think will ever do it, because they are in power most of the times because of first past the post. It might change if Scotland and Northern Ireland, for example, leave the Union. Then the weight of the English voters is much higher, and the Tories are stronger in England than in the other parts. That might trigger that they think about it, because they still would have a 50+% majority probably in that case. But at the moment, it should be done from my point of view, but I don't see any government, be it Labour, be it Tory, to do that. I'm sorry, Spot 31. Then I just want to have a quick look in between on the chat, if my mouse would be working. Yeah, there's a good point there. The House of Lords. It's tradition, of course, but most countries that do have a two-chamber system have two elected chambers. And there are only a few countries. I'm on my global channel, I'm making videos about every single country every day at the moment, alphabetically from the German alphabet, and explain in short their system. And what I read there, most of these have two chambers, but with two elected chambers. And if you look at the countries that have a second chamber that is selected by the president, for example, or by the governor, they are countries either that are not that democratic, or they still, of course, have Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth as head of state. So they're still using the British system. And that is something you really should think about. In Germany, for example, our second house is the Bundesrat. It's composed of the governments of our states. And these governments are elected democratically. And every state, according to the number of citizens, has a certain number of seats in the Bundesrat. And so there are states with more seats and less seats and so on. But all these people sitting there are elected by the citizens of their states as a government and to sit there in the second chamber. And I think that's a better solution, that they are elected and not that you get your friends a lordship. Then I have Katrina Bryce and a question. We've seen the chaos caused by Brexit. Do you think Scotland would experience similar chaos if it were to become independent? Well, without a doubt, in the beginning, definitely there would be chaos. Their biggest partner is the UK. And before I continue, I just see Son of Viking. Thank you for the sticker and the super chat. Really nice. I have your question still here on my table, by the way, but I come to that one later. And it's not that serious question. I hope I got that one right. So, the chaos when Scotland leaves the Union. The biggest trading partner is the UK. That is changing at the moment, at least to a certain extent. And it will, of course, then get easier to trade with the EU, especially when Scotland joins the EU. And I say join, not rejoin, because that's something in the discussion that always comes over wrong. Scotland as a nation was never member of the EU. The United Kingdom was member of the EU and Scotland was part of the United Kingdom. But Scotland itself as a single nation was never member of the EU. They never had a place on the table and so on and so on. So they will join. Of course it will go faster because they are still aligned with the most regulations and rules. And I'm sure these 35 chapters will not take as long as with many other countries that joined before. But that will be still chaotic. And I can't say anything else. It will be chaotic. They can prepare well. And I think they can prepare better than the UK government did so far with Brexit. But there still will be chaos. You can't prevent that in a change like that. So we have another super chat. Hi Mark, I appreciate your fact-based views. Helps to understand better. Thank you, Franz Boomes. I think there was a German name when I read it properly earlier. Thank you very much for this. And thanks, Conservator. 211 watching. That's really nice. I had absolutely no clue on a first live stream on the channel how many people would watch, so I'm happy about every single one of you. And Katrina, I hope I answered your question. Then I have a question from Chris Lodzinski. Do you think the UK or whatever is left will sign lots of sectoral agreements a la Swiss, or will it be a big bang event once the majority are convinced of the benefits? Well, I can definitely say they will not sign lots of sectoral agreements a la Swiss, because the EU even wants to get rid of all these Swiss single agreements and want to have one big package. That was the discussion we recently had. And they will definitely not do that with any other country. If they do any changes, they will change the big agreement and introduce it to them. I just see the several super chats are coming in now. Leafbone 1, thank you, £10. That's really great. Thank you very much and for being here. And Simon Carr, guten Abend, Mark. Will you be doing more live chats? I hope so. This is my first attempt. I will definitely have a look as well tomorrow what you say about this. It's a first try. And I will have a look and I watch it myself, how embarrassing it was in the end. And then I will decide if I do more. But I think I will do more. But I'll decide that tomorrow. And I have to find a time. I will not be able to do that, but with all the stuff, I have to think about the after Corona time, like Max does it, with twice a week or something. But I will definitely have more live chats. I will just see how I can put that on schedule and how bad today was. But I was with Switzerland. No, the EU is not very happy about the Swiss model, and that's why they will not do it. They are talking to Switzerland about getting that all together in one big deal. We had a referendum in Switzerland recently about those deals anyway. And they decided, by the way, to stay with the EU. And that's the other point. Switzerland is very bonded to a lot of EU regulations. And that's something this government in the UK says they never want to have again. So no, I don't see them going anywhere near the Swiss model. Then I have a question from Ian Davidson. Mark, do you think a type of Euro passport could be possible? Not only for us Brits who wish to remain part of the EU, but for other immigrants to the EU in the future, as this would stop some less friendly EU states such as Poland and Hungary from stopping immigrants from moving around Europe. I talked about this with Max during our live stream on his channel. The question was asked there too. First of all, I don't everything is possible, but I don't want this to happen. That's part one, because the citizenship of the EU has to be combined with citizenship of one of the member states. And we have another super chat. I just always jump over there so I won't miss them. FSM is the dog asked, what is the first step back for the UK, EFTA or EEA? I'm just going to answer that one right after this one. I will remember that. As I said, the EU citizenship should be linked to a national citizenship of one of the EU states. And it's not a proper way to give that to anybody else, and it shouldn't be like this. I talked about what happened in the past with buying citizenship in Malta or Estonia. That's something that must not happen in the future, and citizenship can't go to anybody else. If you lived in Germany before the December 31st, you could have gotten a German passport anyway as a UK citizen, because Germany made a very special exception in the law for British citizens, so they could do this when they lived here before that. That's over now. Nobody moving to Germany now can have a British and a German passport anymore. But that was for the people who lived here before. And that shouldn't happen. If you decide to come to the EU and work here, get a visa and a work permit, and if you have a permit to work here and stay here, you can move around the EU. If you have a proper permission to stay and work here, you can move around the EU as a tourist. You can't just work in another country or so easily. But you can move through the whole Schengen area. That's not the problem. Okay. Then I have a question from Amadeus. Last year, a new party was formed in England called the Northern Independence Party, which wants to take northern constituencies of England out of the UK. It has received a decent amount of attention on Twitter and is currently registering with the Electoral Commission. But do you think there is a realistic prospect of Northern independence happening, and how likely is it to happen before Welsh independence or Cornish devolution? There I have to go on a very tricky path, because I have to bring something up usually Brexiteers do. In the case of Scotland or Wales, I don't grant that argument, but in this case, the northern constituencies, there the Catalonia argument would be valid. Scotland is a nation and was an independent country before. The same goes with Wales, as far as I know. But the northern constituencies of England have, well, maybe not always been England. There were some changes. I'm not that sure about the UK history to know if they once belonged to Scotland, then again to England, and so on. There were shifts all the time, and the time of Elizabeth I, Mary Stuart, and stuff like that. But they have never been a nation like we would talk about it. They have been, perhaps, if you sort out the right constituencies, you get one of those many kingdoms that were there 1,000 years ago. But they were never a nation in the sense of a nation. And that's the same with Catalonia. That's why I always say the Catalonia in Scotland is a different thing. For Scotland, independence is, from my point of view, legit and doable. But the northern constituencies of England, I would say, I don't really see that it's absolutely legal to do so, or that there is any legal way to do so. So, no, I see Scottish independence or Welsh independence happening before that, yeah, because I don't think that this is possible at all. And then I have a name here where I don't really know how to pronounce it. That's the problem when you write this and people just put numbers inside. I think it's Lesetem Shah or Lesetem Shet. I don't know. I'm sorry for that one. Hello. If Scotland leaves the UK, it will apply for EU membership. If it get it, Scots will get the power or the right to veto. Veto power include, if I got it right, the application of third countries into the EU. If the Tories keep politically spitting on in Scotland's face and Scotland become EU member before England reapply to the EU, can the Scots force England into a permanent third country status? Technically and theoretically, of course they could. But realistically, no. If that was the only reason, that out of spite for what happened under one Tory government, the Scottish would want to veto in 50 years the rest of the UK, or even if it's only England, to rejoin the EU or to join the EU, they wouldn't do that, because the others will talk with each other, and there will be reasons why either more of them don't want them in the EU, or there will be reasons why they want them in the EU, and then they definitely will have just normal talks with Scotland, and I don't think someone will do that out of spite. But technically, with the rules and regulations and laws we have now, of course they could. Yeah, I saw that. Then I have a question from Chris Atkin. Hi Mark, as a resident in an EU country very pre-Brexit, I'm still allowed to freely travel to different EU countries to visit friends, for example Spain to Germany or Netherlands. Obviously our passports will not have been stamped as we are here, so it's more of a question for the authorities questioning our entry. I must have missed the question, but I guess what's meant. No, it will not be a problem, because if you live in Spain and still live in Spain when you lived there before, you have to be registered. As a UK citizen, being resident in Spain, it's law now to be registered. And for that registration, you have proof. And with that proof, you can travel and show it to all offices that want to see it, because that is your proof that you are a current resident in Spain, a legal resident in Spain, and there will be no problem. But the point is, every UK citizen who is resident in Spain has to register now. They didn't do it before, but they all have to do it now. If you don't do it and somebody controls you, they will even kick you out of Spain in the worst case. Then I have a question from someone who's not here tonight, and he's explaining why. That's hi Mark, Chobin Chalam. Hi Mark, I'm a British citizen living in Thailand. That's 7 hours ahead, so I won't be able to watch the live stream. I'll catch up later. When making my life choice to move here, the economic suicide of my country wasn't considered. I've been screwed by the falling pound. He says 20%, or the number I know is 15%, for 4.5 years. So I dare Brexit supporters to rent "It's nothing to do with you." And his question is, the Brexit utopia people voted for almost instantly switched to anti-EU bile. How does the EU sees England now? A country of nothing short of hatred. I deliberately say England. Well, of course, there's a difference between the parts of the UK, and most hatred I get, by the way, is from probably English people too. But I know a very great number of nice English people. My uncle is English, for example. He came here with the army that time and married my aunt. So I'm not xenophobic against English or anybody else. And of course, there is a lot of anti-EU propaganda still going on. The populists are still using that. Quite a number of Brexiteers are still using that. But the, let's say, normal people in the EU don't care, because they never hear that. The people that can read that is on channels like mine, Max's, or Phil's, or Bowler Hatman's. But the people who don't really interest in these topics never hear about that. They even don't know that. They just slowly realize it's more expensive if I want to buy something from there, but they don't know anything about attitude of some English people towards the EU. And the EU as an institution doesn't care about that as much, because it's about how do the governments work together, and how can we deal with each other in the future. But they don't care about some populist propaganda at the moment. I really don't think they do. Then another question from Capricorn 1970i. Mark, a question relating to one of your videos about the UK company which buys Germans-made candy and sells it to Northern Ireland having to pay tariffs. That is confusing. According to the deal, EU or UK goods can be traded duty-free. If sweets produced in Germany are delivered to the UK, that's EU goods, and these are then resold to Ireland. Why are there customs duties? It is a product of EU origin. What is the catch? And I'm really grateful for that question, because many people really didn't understand that part. When it is mentioned in the treaty that it's about UK origin or EU origin, it's both only one way. It is UK origin and can be sold duty-free in the EU when it comes from the UK. Because there is a real big catch. If something like this, let's take this candy he mentioned, is produced in the EU and is bought by a UK company, the second these EU goods with EU origin arrive in the UK and went through customs, they are not EU goods anymore. And from that moment, it's a UK company selling stuff that is not of UK origin. So when they sell it to, bring it to Northern Ireland, there are tariffs and customs duties on it. That only goes this EU origin or UK origin only goes for the side where it comes from. The EU can sell EU goods to the UK tariff-free. The UK can sell UK goods tariff-free to the EU. But you can't send that stuff back and so on. The second it arrives in the territory of the other, it is not EU goods anymore, or it's not UK goods anymore. It's confusing, but that's technically the legal part there. So 1 second. Talking a lot in a row. Then we have Uwe in Hamburg. Only very few people would have voted for Brexit if several things would not have been fundamentally wrong. The UK has once been a pretty successful country. When did things go the wrong way, and what are the real problems of the UK economy? The reason for my question is we see now several groups of people voted against their own group interests. What was so negative that they could have been persuaded to do that? And the assertion of racism or xenophobia explains very little for me. I don't want to see all Brexit supporters as extreme right-wing either. They aren't. No, not all Brexit supporters were extreme right-wing or racist or whatever. Some of them are. And I experience that every day myself. But the UK has been a pretty successful country until some time before they joined the EU. There's always one thing, especially those very trolly Brexiteers forget. The UK joined the EU because, and I on purpose use that term now, it's a bit insulting, but it was the term that was used that time, and it was not so untrue. They were the sick men of Europe because their glorious times were behind them. And that's why they wanted to join the EU. And joining the EU got them back on track. But their glorious times were gone and they weren't very successful that time anymore. The problem is that the blame game didn't start when the Leave campaign started. The blame game started a long time before that, because there for a long time were politicians and others who blamed problems caused by national politics on the EU. Many of you probably know that they even made up nonsense like this bendy banana stuff and all this that never existed. But even problems that were completely on national authority have been blamed on the EU. We have idiots here that tried the same. But that happened in the UK a long time ago. And more people that want to evade their own responsibility blamed stuff on the EU. And that sunk in. And that combined with populism like hell during the Leave campaign and lies, which people believed. The more often you hear stuff like that, someday you'll believe it. And that was the point. And on the other hand, there's a psychological thing, but that would go too far now. Some people are in such situations where they want to hurt somebody else or the other side, and in this case the EU, that the only thing that matters is hurting them. And it doesn't matter to these people if they hurt themselves or even kill themselves doing that. That's a very complex psychological thing, but that does exist. And so they don't care what happens to themselves if they only can hurt the other side. Maybe Google some psychological stuff, but that would really take out the time to talk about this in length here. But that was another part of that, especially in the end of the Leave campaign and especially after Brexit. So people didn't really all care about what happens to themselves. Others just believed all that nonsense about the glorious future outside the EU and believed in red buses and believed, oh no, I replaced it, in unicorns. Then I have a question from Frank Okappa. Oh yeah, he sent a few questions, but I separated them. Hello Mark, few questions. Now Brexit is done, do you see a path for UK to become like Switzerland or not? Well, I answered that one before, so that I can make quickly, but he had more questions. No. Another question was, EU was guided by 3 main countries, Germany, UK and France. Now with only 2 of them left, do you see the need for a third one? If yes, which one? If no, why? No, because UK was never a guiding country of the EU. Because they always had their exceptionalism. They always stayed away from a lot of things that were supposed to be developed in the EU. And there's another myth, by the way. The political developments we had in the last decades, the people who founded the EU in the first place in the 50s, when it was not called EU, already had in mind where it should go someday. Even Winston Churchill talked about this. Before that even was founded, Charles de Gaulle talked about this. That was always intended to go in a direction we are going for some decades now. But the UK always kept themselves on the side of that development. So talking about the whole EU and the whole development of the EU, the UK was never a guiding country in the sense of the word. They were one of the biggest contributors. They were one of the economically most powerful countries. They were one of the biggest countries. But I would never call them one of the guiding countries of the EU. And so I hope other countries will step up, and I even mean, because many always talk about these 2, Germany and France, because they're so big. I hope some more of the smaller countries will step up and push the development of the EU in the right direction. And that I mean first with reforms. There's a lot of reform we still need because we can do further steps. I just need to do one quick thing. Oh yeah, and I left more fun ones for the end, but I'll take this one first. Michael Wallace sent me another question. It would seem the main Brexiteer issue was getting out of the EU before December 31st. Was funny. Was it because of money movements banking? Was the EU bringing in new financial rules from January 1st? The backers of Brexit were all in the money business. First of all, not from January 1st necessary. It's already is law. But of course, we had the tax avoidance directive in the EU that every country has to implement this year. And that I don't think that was an incident that the City of London or parts of the City of London donated more to the Leave campaign than to the Remain campaign. Of course, there are a lot of people who, first of all, gain something from tax avoidance, and there were people who are making money out of the whole chaos now, not to forget that one. If the pound is falling, like it did since 2016, you can earn money with that. If other things go down or companies lose money, you can make money with that. You can bet on companies getting weaker. And I'm quite sure friends of the Leave campaign that were really supportive to them made a lot of money in the last years and still do. And of course, the new financial rules are not since January 1st. They already exist, but they have to be implemented this year at latest. I'm sure they have played a part in this. And before I get to see if I get some questions from you there, I've got 2 people sending in some more not so Brexit related, more fun questions. The question of dude has to do with my hometown, because he's asking, do you watch every Tatort or you're more of a Wilsberg kind of guy? I have to explain it for almost everybody else. Tatort and Wilsberg are two crime series in German television, and both of them are filmed in my hometown. And just to answer it, Wilsberg is a private detective, a very scruffy guy, and Tatort is about an inspector and a what's the word again for burner? If any of my Germans can help me out, what's the name for burner's job in English? Pathologist. He's a pathologist, and they are quite a funny team. So I'm a Tatort guy. I like those two. They have the highest ratings in Germany every year, especially the team from my hometown. There are Tatorts from several different towns in Germany, in Switzerland. They usually have only 2 episodes from the same city every year. And I really love them, but it's not that interesting for the non-German or non-German speaking viewers here probably. I know that many Dutch people in the past watched Derek. That was a German crime scene series when I was a kid. And I know many Dutch people watched that. I don't know how it is about Tatort. Oh yeah, and the second question is, in that spirit, favorite movie, TV series, and actor. I mean, movie and TV series and stuff like that should be quite clear when you look at the Lego from my Lego channel here. I didn't only pick Star Wars because it's one of the more successful ones and more people will watch it. I watched Star Wars since 1977. I'm that old. And I still love it. I watched everything. I watched The Mandalorian, of course. Favorite TV series is, well, you can never say that because that changes. Of course, I still watch Star Wars and I watch Star Trek. I love both, by the way. I'm not one of those who's standing on either side. And of course, I still watch them when they come out new. I do. And that's why my favorite actor for a long time is Sir Patrick Stewart. And I was one of the people really glad that he started the TV series Picard now, and I'm hoping they really started filming the second season these days, as was reported, and that we'll soon have a second season of Picard, and I'm quite curious what will happen. And of course I'm looking forward for the next season of Mandalorian as well. And that leads me to Son of Viking, who had to ask a Star Trek question and to compare the Federation with the UK. Son of Viking, I'm sorry, but I won't read all of them. According to Star Trek law, the United Federation of Planets does not have a government in the proper sense of the term. Cannot run a referendum to save its life, consistently ignores advice from the Federation Science Bureau, suffering frequent mass fatalities, and so on and so on. So you compare everything with the UK government. Does this mean we can soon expect whatever is left of Britain to take over the Alpha Quadrant? First of all, no, Britain won't take over the Alpha Quadrant, and you were wrong in the first place. Star Trek has a proper government. If you know Star Trek, if you watched Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country, if you watched Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Paradise Lost, you have seen the Federation President. In both the movie and the episodes, there was the president. Well, they tried a coup d'etat against the president in one of them, but still there was a proper government with a president and advisors. And I think as soon as they got through the Dominion War, they had a proper government because they survived that, not only because of Cisco. But that's enough for boring the others. But I hope you got your answer there. Nope, Britain will not take over the Alpha Quadrant, although a British actor playing a Frenchman was traveling a lot through the Alpha Quadrant. So I went through the questions I could use that were sent to me. And over an hour already. And I forgot FMS. Yeah, I said I remember that, and I forgot. Yeah, your FSM is the dog. You're really true. EEA after, if the UK, when it returns, will do that. But before, there's Irmin once again with a super chat. Möge die Macht mit dir sein, Mark. I'm a Star Warrior too. Good evening and bye, everyone. Bye, Irmin, and thanks for coming. And that's a good one. Möge die Macht mit dir sein in German is May the Force be with you. So FSM, the doc, if the UK wants to return EEA or after, is that the way to do that? I don't think so, because they were talking about the Norway way that time already, yeah? Even if Farage sometimes said they wanted the Norway model, they never wanted that one. Because you are closely aligned with the EU. You have to accept EU regulations. And you pay for it. And you have no say at all. That's exactly the opposite of what the UK wanted in all the years. And that's why I think if we come to the point where the people in the UK think about coming back to the EU, then they will want to come back completely with a seat on the table and with a veto and with influence on the decisions. That's what they always misunderstood. They had the influence. They could stop everything. But instead of doing that and stopping what they didn't like, they just blamed the EU. And that's nothing I think they will want to do again. Dano, thank you for that super chat and the sticker. It's good to see several times today that people tell me with their stickers, keep it up. I intend to, so don't worry. And even if many Brexiteers write at the moment, Brexit happened now completely on 1st of January, why are you still publishing videos? We supposed you should be gone now. No, I'm not gone. Max is not gone. Phil is not gone. Bola Edman is not gone. And I'm quite sure neither of us will be gone in the near future, because the consequences we experience now are just the beginning. And it will go on for quite some time. And May and the elections in Scotland are just one further step in the direction of things we have to report about this year. Let's have a quick look again. Yeah, exactly, Juni. Brexit has just started. And it will be going on for a long time. Mr. Peter KJ, thanks for the super set. Could you say a couple of things about and Indie Scotland in terms of joining EU currency border with England? Yeah, I know how that's meant, because that was asked several times before in comments under videos. Independent Scotland, I talked about this in length. It has to be a legal way. They will have to find out how they can do it legally. If they do it legally, even if maybe with the consent of the UK government, or the courts say the Scotland can have a referendum without permission of the UK government, or they can just quit the old nations treaty. Whatever way, if it's a legal way, of course they can apply accession to the EU. And in this case, they of course will have to go through the 35 chapters I mentioned before, and they will stick to the rules of membership. That includes, of course, if there is no separate agreement with the UK for the TCA now, the trade and cooperation agreement the EU has with the UK. For Scotland, they might add that one. I think about that they will do this to make trade easier at the Scottish-English border then. But there will be a border. because if Scotland is independent as soon as they become a member of the EU, they will not have the same position as Northern Ireland, for example, some people might think about, because Northern Ireland is in the customs union with the UK and at the same time works on the rules of the internal market and the customs union of the EU. But that wouldn't be the part for Scotland then when they become a member of the EU. So there would be a border like between the UK and France. And that's a bit problematic, of course, depending on how much trade is still going on between Scotland and the rest of the UK at that time. And the other part is the currency. Well, after leaving, if there is independence, they will have to decide on their own currency. And when they join the EU, they have to have full control over that currency. Of course, some people are talking about using the pound for the time being. Yeah, but they have to stop this some point of these 35 chapters. They will need their own currency at one point to join the EU. And when they joined, as soon as they reach the criteria, they will have to adopt the euro. And I will not lie about this in the videos when we are talking about Scottish independence, when that's going on. The opt-out was for countries that were already members when that was introduced. Every member that's coming new to the EU has to adopt the euro as soon as they meet the criteria. There are several countries that just don't meet the criteria yet. I wouldn't say that's well on purpose, but they could get there faster. Let me say it that way. So someday Scotland would meet the criteria, and from that point on, they would have to adopt the euro. I hope that was helping. Just have a quick look. A son of Viking, that's mean. Okay. No, I can't do, as I said, I'm streaming via my mobile phone, and so I can't put in some fun breaks like Max does with some funny videos, and so I don't want to keep you too long. When I do more live streams, I'm quite sure I will do this, and I hope this was not too embarrassing today for me when I see it. I'm most critical usually. Then I will, of course, choose some topics. I think I will also ask you to send in questions from time to time. That was really interesting for me as well. And I'll do that again. I hope you liked it a bit. I will not drag it on too long today on the first time. I hope you liked it. I hope you will come back. Thanks for all the super chats. If you're watching and are not a subscriber already, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and that will keep you informed. As I said, I have a channel on European politics and one on global news and politics. Maybe have a look on those as well. And there's one more thing that's really funny. When you stream on your mobile, there's no button working to do that from where I'm sitting. When you start this, there's a delay. It doesn't transfer immediately. I have time to get around my desk, sit down, and then it just starts. But when I want to turn it off, none of my remotes that usually works when I'm filming with that phone. I usually film on that phone as well when I film my videos. The remote works then, but it doesn't work to turn off the live stream. So you will see me put away my microphone later on and stand up. So thank you again. If I haven't seen the chat running all the time, if you had that one, if you become a member or a patron of my channel, by the way, you also get access to my Discord server where you can discuss with the other patrons and members about these topics, and I join in regularly as well. So if you want to do this, have a look at membership or Patreon. I really would like to talk to you there. And first of all, and before I quit, so to speak, A big, big thank you to Conservator for being moderator today, and hope to see you soon. We'll talk in a second, I hope, on Discord again. And thank you all for coming here. Thank you all for watching. Still 220 watching, that's great. And I hope to see you in my next video. And of course, when I set it up in my next live stream. And for now, I just do the usual. Have fun, viel Spaß, bis gleich und auf Wiedersehen.